where horror lies.
AKA VHS82 apostrophe. I'm your regular Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags. It is week 259. Get it all mixed up in my head because I'm trying to get out ahead a little bit and backtrack and jump ahead and all that crazy stuff. August is going to be an absolutely insane month for me, so I'm just trying to get it so that I have one or two less things to worry about. I'm sure you get it. It is week 259, or it will be when this drops. It is the week that we pick a film from a year. In this case, it's the year 2000. And I'm going to be honest, I was looking for something that was right off my shelf and I didn't have to pick up or anything. And lo and behold, man, Sam Raimi's, Sam's film, The Gift, man, was in 2000. And I thought, yeah, I seem to vaguely remember seeing that. It's got enough elements in it, and it is Sam Raimi anyway, so, right? So I went ahead and did a nice revisit of that with my wife last night. And I'm just going to say, man, I was dumbfounded. I was personally. Now, today I was cutting grass. That's why my head is like really scrambled. The heat down Georgia, man, just... But I was dumbfounded just how good it was. Now, today I was cutting grass. I listened to one podcast that was talking about it. That was just like, this is maybe Sam Raimi's best movies ever done. I started to put on another podcast that was the extreme opposite. That cracked me up. But where do I fall? Even before I got out into the yard today to do work. Last night, man, I was dumbfounded at just how good of a film from start to finish it was. Now, he's in that moment where he's done For the Love of the Game, he's done A Simple Plan, which I really love, and then he hits it with The Gift, and then what lies beyond The Gift, of course, is his Spider-Man trilogy. And I think the first film outside of that trilogy is Drag Me to Hell, his big return to horror. In this film, The Gift from 2000, there are at least a pair of people that will cross over into the Spider-Man trilogy. You got J.K. Simmons, who will play I think he's the sheriff of the town, the small little town, and it takes place in Brixton, Georgia. There's no real town like that. I checked just a minute ago. I think the closest is Broxton, which is about 3.5 or maybe it's 2.5 hours or something south of Savannah, inland a little bit. And it's about 3.5 from me. I'm near Atlanta. So there's no real town. It was mostly shot around the Savannah area, up around that area. But The Gift, man, I was... I did for sure remember one scene in particular that involves Giovanni Ribisi. Let's just go through the cast real quick, man, because you may not have even seen this movie. This one might have just gone right under the radar on you. Cate Blanchett, man, she plays she's sort of like she's a card reader. She reads for people. She's just trying to make ends meet. Now, it's interesting, in this small little southern town that prides itself on, being, it's a good way to put it, being a very, 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 very flawed Christian, but Christian nonetheless, really does look down on her and her little establishment. But she gets by mainly because she's forbidden by law to take money for reading for people. So people just give her donations, and it's enough to help her. Plus, her husband was killed in a factory explosion. So she sort of has the sympathy or empathy or whatever from the people in town that if they really wanted her gone or really wanted to make her life miserable, they could in 2 seconds. So she's, so a lot of the story revolves around her and her ability, not that she's prideful on it or any ego on it at all. She's just, I don't even think she likes the fact that she has it, but she has it. It enables her to do things for people. Giovanni Ribisi is one of them. He is a troubled young man who she is the only source of life for him in terms of just someone to talk to help. She reads for him a bit. He doesn't really have the money to even donate to her, so he, you know, sort of will do things. Since he works as a mechanic at a garage, he'll do things for her occasionally, you know, as a form of thank you. But she's a she comes across as a very generous, sort of just wants to be very helpful and help people if she can. And a community that has a lot of issues, man, under the surface. And those, well, I'm just thinking, Keanu Reeves, man, is another major pivotal character, and Hilary Swank, who plays his abused wife. He abuses her, beats her to crap all the time. He plays a very strong part in this. Of course, I said J.K. Simmons, also Rosemary Harris, who is Aunt May, right, in the Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. She, of course, plays Annie's granny. Annie, of course, is the Cate Blanchett card reader character. And so, you know, and that's sort of the main characters, I guess, but everything sort of comes front and center for Cate Blanchett's character, Annie, when there is a murder in this town. Now, this town is small enough that when there is a murder, or someone disappears, comes up missing, it's pretty serious stuff. And by this point already, Annie has already had run-ins with Donnie, who is the Keanu Reeves, the very abusive, just sort of comes across as a very unsympathetic character. Although that changes a little bit in the movie. But he is very rough, man, in how he treats his wife. And he doesn't care. And he does not want his wife, who's played by Hilary Swank, has a Valerie, I think, is her name, maybe. He doesn't want her anywhere around Annie or this card reading business. And so there is a few run-ins between Donnie and Anne that get they all kind of get violent. And he doesn't mess around. And he's got people on his side, you know, because she's sort of the black sheep of the town, but she's tolerated, I guess, maybe for the reasons I said. And so there's this murder. She has a vision. She feels as though she's sure that the girl who goes missing, which is Katie Holmes, plays his character. Jessica King is this main missing person. She believes she is in a pond via visions that she has over the course of the early part into the middle of the film. And so she goes to J.K. Simmons, his character, and convinces him that she's in a pond, and she gives as much as she can that she has seen. Well, it leads to Donnie's residence. He's got a pond on his property. It fits the description, and so they decide they have no choice. Now, this is the last guy you want to show up in his property and start searching stuff, because he's very rough, man. But he's out. He's fishing or something, and so Hillary's, his wife gives the police the permission, although she's gonna get beat for it later. And they start dragging the pond, man. Well, Donnie shows up, man, and man, I'm telling you, man, it just goes crazy. Well, before he can do any real damage, they find the body in his pond. I may just stop there. And obviously, he is the main suspect. It's his property. It's his pond. There will be a court case. Will take up a good chunk of this movie, where he'll be charges against him, and he'll face trial for the murder of Jessica King. Now, like I said, the cards are completely and absolutely stacked against him. But Annie will have other visions that will perhaps maybe convince her that perhaps Donnie maybe not is the killer. And that's where I'll probably stop. And so that's where things really get interesting. And it, not being horror per se, there are some really interesting elements here in terms of a few moments of violence. There's one that involves Giovanni Ribisi that is just, it ought to be up in the top annals of just moments in a film, whether or not you really like the movie or not. This is a moment that is so seemingly out of left field. Now, I said he's mentally unstable, right? There is something in his past that will come to light towards the end that is so, it may be the most disturbing element in this entire film. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of sort of moving parts that sort of interconnect with one another. It makes it for an interesting film. But Donnie's character is riding in a truck with a buddy, I guess, and he sees one of Annie's little kids. She has 3 boys, right? And he pulls up and he starts to basically harass this boy. Tells him, your mother's a witch, and if she doesn't watch herself, she's going to be burned alive or burned at the stake or something like that. Well, Giovanni Ribisi's buddy is his name. He happens to pull up in his tow truck, and he's watching. Now, he leans out, and he asks the kid, I can't remember the kid's name, but he leans out, and he's like, is everything all right? The kid, man, you got to give it to him for boldness. The kid's like, he said mom's a witch, and she's going to be burned alive. At that point, man, the subtlety of what Buddy does is golden and one for the memories, man. He just looks and he says, oh, really? And you just know, man, this is something really bad is about to go down. And of course, Donnie, I think, senses it too. Donnie leans out and just says, Buddy, mind your business. Well, Buddy's like, He grabs the tire thing, and he walks up and just out of an absolute fit of rage just begins to beat down on Donnie's or his buddy's truck or whatever, and just a fit of violence and rage that, man, you just like, what the heck is going on with this guy? But it's so memorable. Everyone, I think, does a really good job. It's an interesting movie that weaves a lot of different things. I think it's a good example of just how good of a director Raimi can be, and maybe perhaps we haven't seen his best work yet. I think it's interesting that he hit that area of For the Love of the Game, and then A Simple Plan, and it sort of led up to The Gift. And then, of course, his dream came true and Spider-Man fell into his lap, and he at least got a trilogy out of it. Well, and all things do come back around, right? He did get Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness just recently, and I know he's got other projects out in front of him. But I was just thinking, watching this movie, I was just thinking how much I would love to see him return to that sort of film, but maybe more. Well, it can't be a giallo, right? Because it's not made in Italy, it's not an Italian film, but something like that, something cut out of that. I think I'd be curious to see how Raimi could weave something like that based on, a lot of the stuff he's done and where he's come from. And I would love to see a very, very mature Raimi get a chance and just do something that just would blow people's socks off in terms of a film that you just don't know who the killer is until the final reveal. I mean, it would be so epically awesome. Anyways, I don't know what else to say about this. The Gift from 2000. Surprisingly, not surprisingly, it's Sam Raimi. It's definitely well worth to go back and revisit or go check it out if you've never seen it. Some of these performances are great, man. And for that Ribisi scene, man, when he goes to town on Donnie's truck is great. The courtroom drama as it unfolds, there are reveals and some twists that I'm not going anywhere near, because I have a funny feeling this is one of those movies that more than not maybe slipped under people's radars and they haven't seen it. And it's some of the reveals that come, I think, could have things been tightened down just a little bit more? Maybe, but they work to pretty good effect. It's interesting just seeing how it just unfolds. So anyways, here in week 259 from the year 2000, we're all taking a look at movies from the year 2000. My choice, of course, an earlier work by Sam Raimi, which might have gone under the radar, man. The Gift from 2000. Check it out. As always, man, we end these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.